Welcome back to Edge Word, presented by FanDuel as part of the Hammer Betting Network. I'm Alex Moretto, joined here today by So Money Sports after a week off. Maybe a tough week off, fun week of hockey. It's been a great series so far, but the Florida Panthers are on the brink of winning back-to-back Stanley Cups. The first time someone will have done that since Sidney Crosby, Pittsburgh Penguins, several years ago. How did we get here, So Money? And does this feel like the end for the Edmonton Oilers? As I teased that we would be back early this week, as Andy V on Twitter says, he's looking forward to seeing So Money say nothing has changed. So has anything changed, So Money? Are we still, are we concerned? Are we still hopeful about these Oilers? Talk me through this.
It's so funny, like the messages on Twitter sometimes. It's like, you always hate this team and all that and stuff. Like, I don't give a fuck about your team, first of all, right? Second of all, yes, things have changed, right? So I think it's fair to say, it's pretty accurate to say that Florida's the better team. We've had 5 games here where over the course of these 5 games, the way that these games have played out, the Panthers are the better team. Now, the better team doesn't always win the Stanley Cup, and there's things that the Oilers can do, I believe, but that's the first step here. We need to acknowledge that the Panthers are the better team. The Oilers coming into the series, they wanted to generate off the rush. The Panthers make that very difficult, right? And we're seeing that this series where they can line up in the neutral zone, they can take away your space getting through the neutral zone. The Oilers are having trouble moving it out of their zone in the first place, right? Because the Panthers are right on them, and we're seeing several instances where the Oilers are fumbling the puck in their own zone. And then we're also seeing the Oilers get behind early, and the Panthers are not the type of team that you want to be chasing, right? Just because of how disciplined they are and how they can shut it down. So, yeah. What do you do if you're the Oilers at this point? Well, I suggest this to Chris Knoblauch, and you have to put the ego away a little bit here. You're playing you need to acknowledge that you're playing a team that's better than you, right? And that's tough to acknowledge. I get it, but that's the first step. The second step is, I know that the Oilers want to come out strong and they want to run and gun, but the problem with that is that they're getting beat on the counter. And then they get beat on the counter, they fall behind early, and then it's this whole cycle that you're chasing a team that is very disciplined. And it's not as if the Panthers sit back with the lead. They still play, they still attack. It's just that they're more responsible defensively when they have the lead, right? So that combination makes it very, very tough to come back again. So if I'm the Oilers, I would want this game to be played in the mud. You just try to get through the minutes, play through the mud, and in the end, you hope that you get something transcendent from a Draisaitl or McDavid. That should be the strategy. Just play in the mud, right? I just don't know if the Oilers have that in them, right? And that's the problem I see right now.
Without Hyman, makes it a lot harder. He's like the perfect guy for this type of series too. So obviously they're missing him. Yeah, it hurts that the depth contributions haven't quite been there like they were earlier, and that is largely down to Florida. I think there's a lot of like talk out there about, these guys were never actually that good, and they were just kind of on a heater, and there were guys playing out of their minds, and it was always going to regress. And that's true to an extent. Guys like Podkolzin and Kasperi Kapanen and all these guys who were making, these significant contributions, Connor Brown, Henrique, all these guys. But like, it's a lot harder to play at that same level when you're playing a team that has arguably the best depth in, definitely the best depth in the NHL. I mean, yeah, when you're rolling out a third line that has been scoring goals against, maybe a third line in like Dallas or a third line in, Vegas, it hasn't been anywhere close to as effective. And now you're rolling them out against like Anton Lundell, Luosterainen, and Marchand. Of course, the contributions are going to be diminished. And that's been, a significant issue, is that when Edmonton's depth has been neutralized, or not even just neutralized, but outscored, the top guys haven't been able to answer the bell and pick up the slack. And that's basically it. I don't want to like simplify what is a very complicated matchup and a very complicated series, but what it does boil down to here is Edmonton's horses have to be their horses tonight. And they've shown many times in the past that they're able to come out and be those guys in these big games. Tonight, they're going to have to do exactly that. Backs against the wall. They did it down 3-0 to rally them back last year in the series to push it to Game 7. They did it when they were down 3-0 in Game 4 in Florida and down 2-1 in the series. They rallied back and were able to win in overtime to, tie that series and force now a pivotal Game 5, which they ended up, of course, losing then in pretty dominant fashion for Florida. But that's what they're going to have to do tonight. Those top guys are going to have to be the top guys again. So let's just get right into tonight. Let's look at where we're at right now, heading into Game 6 with the Cup in the building in Florida tonight. The Cup in the building and Charles in the building tonight here. Charles will be in the building. Congrats, Charles. This must be incredible to just watch this in back-to-back years. Your team just dominate everyone and reach back-to-back Cup finals, win the Cup last year, a chance to do it again, and now on home ice. Oilers plus 126 tonight to force a Game 7. Panthers minus 152, a total of 6.5, minus 104 to the over, minus 115 to the under. So money. I mean, there's nothing surprising at this point as to where we are with this line. We've obviously pretty much right on par with where it's been all series. Are you betting the Oilers again tonight? Are you just hoping and praying that your series equity can stay alive? Are you looking at the total in any way, shape, or form here? Because again, we're seeing these 6.5 juice totals, and it's to be expected based on how this series has been played. We have yet to get a game finish under these 6.5. I feel like we're due for one, and not necessarily just because the due factor, but just in terms of the offense that's been created. These haven't been like insanely high event games. I do think as we get later here with the Cup on the line tonight, maybe a look towards the first under of the series has a little bit of value.
Yeah, I do. I am playing the under, so the under 6.5 and also plus money 6s. For all intents and purposes, Game 5 was an under game that just blew up in the end. I agree with Charles there that it's not that the Oilers are coming out flat, right? Like, you're not coming out flat in Game 5 of a Stanley Cup final. What's happening is that, like I said earlier, the Oilers are trying to skate and trying to push, but they're getting beat on the counter. Yeah. And that's what the Panthers do. And they get that early lead because the Oilers are trying to skate and the Panthers are not letting them, right? So, and then that's the reason I was saying that maybe we need to change it up here. You know that you can't skate with this team because the Panthers are better, so you need to play in the mud. And I think that we are going to see probably that kind of game here tonight, where the Panthers are who they are. They're not going to change the way that they play. They don't give you anything. The only thing that I shouldn't say that. The only thing that the Panthers do give you is a rope for you to go hang yourself, and the Oilers need to stop getting into that situation. Easier said than done, right? So I do think that that we'll see a slower pace game here. The Panthers aren't going to change the way that they play. I think that the Oilers probably, I'm not going to say that they're going to come out more defensive, but I don't think they're going to be taking as many chances on the road as they normally would. And I think that we will see Skinner in goal. Obviously, in a big game, in a Game 6 or Game 7, if the Panthers win tonight, I don't think it's going to be because of Skinner. I think that if the Panthers win, it's because nothing changed in this series. The Panthers were suffocating. They held the Oilers down, and they won a tight game. So yeah. I do think that we are going to see a slower game. In terms of the side here, yes, I do have the Oilers to win the Cup. I'm not going to be betting the Oilers here because if this is going to be the kind of game that I envision, and if the path to the Oilers' victory is through the hope that something happens at the end of the game where McDavid and Draisaitl take over, and that's the only way and the only path to the Oilers' victory here. I want more than the price that's being offered right now in that situation. So, so for that, I will be out on the side, but I am betting the under here.
Yeah, I completely agree with everything you just said. There's no need to add to it. We kind of handicapped this under a couple times now. This will be my third under bet of the series, maybe my fourth. I'd have to go back and check, but obviously, 0 for either 0 for 2 or 0 for 3 on unders so far. I still feel like, I mean, especially as we get later on here, like you said, the Oilers are kind of recognizing how they're going to have to play this game. Florida's shooting percentage cannot stay as high as it is. Hopefully the Oilers can get some better goaltending here. I do expect them to go back to Skinner for sure. I think it's a big mistake if they don't go back to Skinner.
Yeah.
Obviously he has a much, much higher ceiling. Pickard, like, full credit to what Pickard has done in these playoffs. He has come in and, delivered in some big moments for them, but like, he's not a good goalie at all. You're not getting that high level from him at any point. You're just getting maybe a baseline where he's not blowing up. But like, if you need a guy to go in there and actually play well and potentially make some huge saves for you and steal a game, Skinner is the guy who's going to do that for you. It's not going to be Pickard. Obviously, there's some variance there, but yeah, definitely a big mistake if they don't go to Skinner here. Cup in the building, Cup on the line. We see things typically tighten up in these situations. We saw it last year when these two teams played in the series as well. So an under for me here. I would suggest betting it now. I don't think you need to wait or should be waiting. We've seen the last few games the under take some significant money, especially the last game in Florida that ended up closing at a juiced 6, or like I guess a flat 6. It was like minus 110-ish, 6 to the under. Took a ton of money towards puck drop. So I do think this will move towards the under throughout the day, and especially in the last hour or so leading up to game time on puck drop. So I would get on an under here. The 6.5 minus 115 at FanDuel is the best price in market right now as well. You will not find better than that anywhere. Some of the offshores or some of the market makers, we're seeing closer to minus 20 at this point. We're seeing even further out than minus 20 at some books as well. So definitely get on that minus 115 at FanDuel right now. That is the way we are betting this game tonight. So, Money, I have another thing I want to talk about that is very near and dear to me right now. Something I tweeted out the other night that I got absolutely shit on for. I got a lot of hate. I'm sure it was sent around from in some group chats and stuff as well. I've talked to many people about it now since then. I've had people in my DMs and whatnot. I do want to get to that. It is the Conn Smythe market. But before we do, a reminder that nothing hits like playoff hockey. The Stanley Cup final runs through FanDuel, your home for live bets. With new features like live SGPs, build a parlay any game, any period, or stack multiple matchups onto one slip with same game parlay plus. And what's better than the Stanley Cup? Stanley Cup overtime. Get more from the game with live overtime markets. Right now, new customers can kick off the season with 200 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Just place any $5 bet and you'll get 200 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Download FanDuel today and get more with North America's #1 sportsbook. Please play responsibly. Must be 21 plus and present in select states, or 18 plus and present in DC, or 19 plus and physically located in Ontario. Bonus issue is not withdrawable. Bonus bets which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-866-531-2600 or visit connexontario.ca. Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut or visit mbgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts. So call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. All right, let's do this. Let's get to the Conn Smythe market. After Game 5, things reopened on FanDuel with Sam Bennett minus 230 to win the Conn Smythe. Brad Marchand was, I think, around the 410 that he is now. We have since seen an adjustment, a small adjustment in the market. Bennett is down to minus 160, but that equity has not gone to Brad Marchand. It has gone instead to Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid, who are both down to plus 650 after being around plus 950 on the outset of Game 5. I believe this market is still being mispriced. There's a lot of love for Sam Bennett out there, and rightfully so. He is having a fantastic playoffs, and his impact cannot be understated. But I want to look for a second at the case between the two, between Bennett and Marchand, because I think it is much, much closer than the market is kind of pricing it at right now. Barkov last year was 4th in points and 7th in goals in the playoffs. Voters recognize his great play beyond just the surface stats. He was essentially unanimously voted as the guy behind McDavid. Top 2 on all but 2 of the ballots. 46 points in the voting. 3rd place was Forsling with 8. That is just to say, it is not all about the surface stats. This is not just going to be a vote for who has the most points. If that was the case, Barkov would not have finished 2nd in voting last year behind McDavid. Obviously, what McDavid did last year was insane. His stats were not just, an ordinary points leader in the playoffs. What he did was pretty special. Bennett has a ton of goals. Yes, he is chasing history there. But, who remembers Zach Hyman last year? Hyman had 16 goals. Only one person had him on their Conn Smythe ballot. 16 goals. Bennett's at 15 right now. He has been great, no doubt about it, but he doesn't have close to the stranglehold on this market as I think the market is pricing it at. If you look at his goals too, how many off the top of your head, So Money, do you distinctly remember? How many of Sam Bennett's goals from these playoffs are you like, wow, that was a huge one, or this was a massive goal in these high leverage situations? There have not been many of them, right? He's not scoring in a ton of high leverage situations. That's just what it boils down to. He has just one game-winning goal in these playoffs out of the 15 he scored. A lot of his goals have come with the Panthers already up 2+ goals in games. He has a couple of empty net goals. Just one of his goals since the first round has come with the game tied when he opened the scoring in game 2. Meanwhile, Marchand has done nothing but score in high leverage situations. 7 of his 10 goals in these playoffs have come with the game tied. He's got a pair of overtime winners, 2 game-winning goals in the Stanley Cup Finals. He is 2nd behind Draisaitl in the playoffs in game-winning goals. He's tied for the playoff lead in plus-minus at +18 to Bennett's +6. He has 6 goals to Bennett's 5 in this series. You look at Sam Bennett, he's racked up a ton of points in an uncompetitive Kane series. He had 4 goals and 7 points against Carolina when they were blowing them out every night. Marchand had 2 points in that series. So that is a 5-point difference. Are we really going to punish Brad Marchand because he didn't pad his stats in 6-2 and 5-0 blowout wins against Carolina? I personally am not. People like to talk about voters not being that thorough or being lazy or whatever and just looking at the goals and looking at the stats. I think they deserve a lot more credit than they're given. We've seen how they voted in the past. They do recognize, guys who are big in the big moments. That is what the playoffs are all about. It is who is going to rise to the occasion when you need someone to rise to the occasion. Marchand has been that guy all playoffs. He has been Florida's most clutch player in high leverage spots in all 4 rounds. Well, at least in the last 3 rounds. He was the guy who scored the overtime winner to prevent them from going 3-0 down against the Leafs. He scored 2 goals, including the double overtime winner to prevent them from going 2-0 down in the Cup final against Edmonton. He scored 2 goals, including the game winner, both highlight reel goals, I will say, last game in a decisive Game 5 in Edmonton to put them up 3-2 in the series. He has been the guy they've relied upon consistently to deliver for them in the big moments, and he's done exactly that time and time again. Bennett has the 15 goals and he has the stats that way, but his impact still on these games has not been more than what Brad Marchand has done, and in the moments that Brad Marchand has done them in. I think that is what is going to be lasting in people's heads. The difference in points between them is not significant enough to overcome what Brad Marchand has done in terms of game winners and high leverage goals. So that is my case for why I think the market is mispricing this right now, and I think that voters are going to give a lot more love to Brad Marchand than is being accounted for right now.
So look, I agree with you, right? For the case that you laid out, if I had a vote, I would vote for Marchand as well. I do have a Marchand Conn Smythe ticket as well. So it's in my best interest for you to be right. I don't have any Bennett tickets, right? So, but the problem I see is that we have to look at what the voters are thinking. You're right in the sense that Barkov, with the points that he put up last year, if it was all about points, he would have won on the winning team. The problem with that, though, is that what Connor McDavid did last year with his points was extraordinary, right? I think that the voters are looking at Bennett's goals the same way. What Marchand has done has been outstanding. I think you've laid out the case for him perfectly. But I think in the end, what it comes down to is that they will look at the number of goals overall that Bennett has scored. And I think that's going to be the difference. I hope I'm wrong. I would like Marchand to win, but I think that it strictly comes down to that, the number of goals that Bennett has scored.
Yeah,
And
and I
that's
don't disagree. Since round one, Bennett has only scored 2 more goals than Marchand. And I think what should hurt Bennett's case a little bit is that it's not like, wow, he's scoring at an insane pace. He is scoring at a great pace, and like full credit to him. I'm not trying to diminish what he's done in these playoffs for the record. Like he's obviously been unbelievable. His impact has also gone just a bit beyond the goals as well. But what I'm saying here is that Hyman also scored 16 last year. So like we just have evidence of a guy who just did what Bennett is doing, but also one-upped him a little bit. And now obviously Bennett still has time to catch that, but it's not like some number we've never seen before. We literally just saw it last year. Marchessault as well the year before. Obviously Marchessault won the Conn Smythe, but he was scoring also game-winning goal after game-winning goal in those playoffs for Vegas. My case here is just that I do think Bennett's obviously been incredible. It's that the gap between Bennett and Marchand is way, way smaller than is being priced in the market right now. That's all basically I'm saying. I do think Bennett right now has a better chance of winning it than Marchand, but it is by a hair. And you're, paying -160 on FanDuel. You're paying, a little bit cheaper elsewhere, some a little bit more expensive at other places. Whereas Marchand, you're pretty much getting 4-1. You're getting 4-1 at FanDuel, a little bit shorter elsewhere, but like that is way too big of a difference between the two. When realistically, if you're dividing just Panthers equity, you're not even looking at you. Take out the Oilers out of the equation for a second. If you're just dividing up Panthers equity and there's 100% of the pie to kind of give out, I would put Bennett at like 50%, Marchand at like 48, and then the rest of the team at like a combined 2%, which I basically don't think anyone else is really in the running right now. So like it's neck and neck between the two of them, and it's just not being priced that way is all I'm saying here.
Yeah, and I think that that for whoever's watching afterwards, I think that go through the chat during this conversation, because there's a bunch of things that Charles is saying in there that that I just completely agree with. Right? There's like if it goes 7, Bennett and Marchand will be similar odds. Yeah, I do agree with that. So if you, I don't think it's a bad bet right now to bet Marchand, because I do agree with you that I think that it's going to be a lot closer. Right? But again, my issue is that we're trying to look at the way that people vote as opposed to the case that we've outlined and like what theoretically should happen, right? So I think that I do agree with what Charles is saying. So and I agree with yours with what you're saying. I think it's going to be really interesting if it does go to Game 7, how those 4 guys, Bennett, Marchand, McDavid, Draisaitl, how much tighter they get in this, right? And yes, the equity went to McDavid and Draisaitl, but that's because there's no. If you think Oilers are going to win this series, there's no reason for you to be betting the Oilers series at plus 280 or whatever it is, right? Like you should be betting either and or McDavid and or Draisaitl for
or just both, just split it between.
Exactly, right? So like there's no reason to be betting the Oilers to win the series if you think the Oilers are going to win the series, unless if there's like a limit issue, right? So, I'm one. Obviously, I want the Oilers to win tonight, but one of the other reasons I want the Oilers to win tonight is that I'm very, very interested to see how tight the top 4 gets for the Conn Smythe going into Game 7, and like Friday night would be awesome, but. Yeah, let's get there when we get there.
And that's the other thing too, right? Like it's so close that it's not necessarily being priced as close as it should be, but it's so close that all it takes is one little moment in Game 6 to swing things considerably. Like if this, voting will be done at the end of the second period. Obviously, voters have the ability to put like a caveat in there where if Florida's up and they can say like if this is the final or whatever, if Bennett scores a game winner in overtime, or if Marchand scores a game winner in overtime, I want this guy to be my Conn Smythe voter. I want to change it or whatever. But like we're at a point where anything little that happens here in Game 6 could just swing this, right? If Bennett scores a goal and Marchand doesn't, I think it's done. I think Marchand doesn't have a chance. If Marchand gets, a point or a goal and an assist, and Bennett just has an assist, I think it swings into Marchand's favor. I think it's that close that really just one goal for either of those guys right now, without the other one scoring, will swing the boat. That's how close it is. So like to get 4-1 on something like that, right now, I think it's kind of foolish not to take it, honestly. And then I'm curious to hear your thoughts as well on the Draisaitl and McDavid conversation, because obviously, like, I have flip-flopped a bunch. Coming into the series, I was high on Draisaitl being a guy for Conn Smythe. I have a lot of Draisaitl positions. And then Draisaitl scored the overtime winner in game 1, but I was like, oof, the way Connor McDavid kind of took over that game, it didn't even felt like it mattered that Draisaitl scored the overtime winner. I felt like it was going to be McDavid's if the Oilers won the series. But since then, we've obviously seen McDavid not have the same impact that we're used to seeing from him. And we have seen Draisaitl really command some of these games and score some massive goals. Again, another overtime winner to tie the series. It almost feels like now the pendulum has swung. Just when I was out, he's kind of reeled me back in. Obviously, again, if the Oilers are to come back and win this, McDavid, you figure, is going to have a significant hand in it, which will also change things here. But as of right now, I do think Draisaitl would be the guy if you had to give it to an Oilers player.
Yeah. I think that this is we talked about how Bennett and Marchand should be priced closer. Well, you want to talk about being neck and neck? That's McDavid and Draisaitl right now.
Yeah.
We are waiting for McDavid's moment.
Yes.
We're waiting for him to kind of show who he is. I don't know if it's possible. I don't know if it's one thing hoping for it. We know that he's capable of it, but you're also playing another team as well, and they have all the tools required to shut you down for the last 1 or 2 games here. So I don't know if it's possible. We hope it is, but I just don't know. I think this is going to be one of those situations where you touched on the contingency plans in these votes earlier. I think that if it's tied in the third period of Game 7, it will come down to if the Oilers win. If McDavid scores, my vote is on him. If Draisaitl scores, my vote is on him. Right? I think that that's what it comes down to. If neither of them score, and the Oilers win, I think that Draisaitl gets it, depending on how Game 7 went, right?
But yes, and to your point, and to Charles's point, and to JH's point, like everyone's saying, what I'm saying is right now, if you had to give it to an Oiler, it's Draisaitl. But if the Oilers are going to come back and win this series, it's going to be because McDavid has had his moment. So it's pretty hard to overlook that. That's why, if I'm giving it out right now, it's Draisaitl. But if I'm picking who it will be after a Game 7, it's McDavid for me. So obviously that's why it's neck and neck. And Draisaitl has looked. You obviously keep waiting for McDavid to have his moment, but Draisaitl keeps having his moments, right? So, I mean, who knows? I really hope you get a Game 7. That is the only thing I know for sure.
Look at that comment in the chat.
McMuffin.
No, that's fine.
Oh.
The ring.
Oh, the ring.
Nothing grinds me more.
Yeah, you hate that. You hate that. You hate that discussion. I know you do.
But that got me rattled. No, but like I think you're right. Like if the Oilers win, it has to be because McDavid did something. Yeah. And that's what we're hoping for.
Yeah, I can't wait for tonight. I don't know. I mean, Florida has just been so good at closing out these series. But again, like we saw what the Leafs did in Game 6, it feels like when Florida needs these games, in like the decisive games when it's split or they're down 1, they're always able to come and just suffocate teams and have their say. But in these moments, when they've been up in series, to close them out in this fashion, they haven't always been as successful in doing so. So that gives me a little bit of optimism as to what Edmonton can do here tonight. I don't think Edmonton's done having their say. I think the series deserves a Game 7. This rematch deserves a Game 7. Game 7 last year was fantastic, and I think we all deserve to get that again. Very selfishly, I'm saying that, of course, for many reasons. 1, to watch it. 2, to keep our Edmonton positions alive here. So Yeah. Anything else you wanted to touch on here before we head out?
No, I mean it's just been a masterclass by the Panthers here. I think that their Kachuk looks like he's starting to get healthy from whatever was ailing him. Reinhardt looks a lot better as well. That third line for Florida should be a one, at least a 1B line on a lot of teams in this league.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think that the Panthers are, and like Bob is being Bob again, right? He's
Mm-hmm.
been he's been great this series. I think that we are, if we take out the Oilers tickets that we have, and looking at this series, I think that as I was saying earlier, it's pretty clear that the Panthers are the better team. And right now, we're just hoping that um, that the Oilers can do something, right?
Yeah.
And that's all it comes down to, because we've had 5 games here of the way that the Panthers play and the way that the Oilers want to play are not meshing. So something has to change for the Oilers, and we're just hoping that it does. Other than that, yeah, I mean, go Oilers. Cheering for them. I want to win money, but it's gonna be tough right now.
Yeah. Quickly, cup handoff thoughts from Charles here.
Oh, yeah.
Right now, Schmidt and Marchand are both plus 90. They are the co-favorites in the market. Then you have Nuge at plus 600, Draisaitl plus 950, Bob 11 to 1, Seth Jones 12 to 1, and then we get out to like the 30 to 1 range. Um, I have looked at this closely. I've thought about it a lot. I don't have any good feel for who gets it if it's Florida. I think it could be someone who completely surprises us. I honestly have no idea, but Nate Schmidt at plus 190 makes, I can't imagine Nate Schmidt is the guy who gets it first. I just can't imagine that being the case. I understand he's a veteran guy, but he hasn't been around the team for a while, so obviously his first year there. He's having a really nice playoffs. He's been really good for them, but like it doesn't make sense. I couldn't imagine betting Nate Schmidt at plus 190. Marchand plus 190, the playoffs he's having, it does make some sense, but like also, he's won a cup before. He's only been there for a few months. I'm not necessarily sure he makes the most sense. I do think if I'm betting for a Florida player, I'm going to go down the board a little bit. Bob obviously had it last year. I don't know if they'll just follow that same routine and give it to him again at 11 to 1. I think Ekblad, who sounds like he's going to hit the market, maybe his last game with the Panthers at 30 to 1 could be an interesting kind of look there. But I don't have a good feel for it from a Florida perspective. For a From the Oilers' perspective, I do think it would be Nuge. I do think it would be Nuge over Draisaitl. I think he's been there just way too long to not get the respect of getting it first. And yeah, I think those are the only two guys for the Oilers who would make sense here. It's either Nuge or Draisaitl, but I do think it would be Nuge. Any thoughts from you here?
Well, both of you have mentioned that. Both you and Charles have mentioned that you can see Schmidt getting it. What's what's the case for it? I just don't see it. Charles mentioned a couple of times here, so and like obviously he knows the team better, but what is the case for Schmidt? Because like for me, like Ekblad is a no brainer, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
as especially at 30 to 1, but I'm looking at Schmidt plus 190, and it's just like why is he
Mm-hmm.
so low? So
Yeah,
and like
I know.
I'm like earnestly asking here because I don't know why he's priced like that, because for me, like I'd be betting Ekblad.
Yeah, and we have the producer behind the scenes in the secret chat said they gave Vanacek the puck after Game 5. Everything's on the table. It's true. This Panthers team, like they're a tight knit group. They obviously have their little like inside jokes and their little quirks and whatnot. It could be someone who just completely surprises us and they give it to like an Evan Rodriguez or a Forsling or whoever. Like I don't think it'll be those
Mhm.
guys necessarily, but like who's to say it's not Anton Lundell at 100 to 1? I mean, I don't know. Like there's so many different options, so many different ways we can go with this. So I'm not taking those two guys at the top. I do think probably for Florida, Ekblad at 30 to 1 would be my favorite bet right now, definitely.
Yeah, yeah. I do agree with that. Yeah.
Okay, and then last question I'll get to here. No comment on the Marner to Habs rumors. I don't think it's even worth addressing. I can't imagine that Marner would leave Toronto to sign for another Eastern Conference Canadian team. Just there's zero chance of that happening. I think the Habs could, not that they would, but I think the Habs could go out and offer him $14.5, $15 million a year, and I still don't even think he would take that. It just doesn't make sense to leave Toronto to sign in Montreal. So I think there's about no chance of that happening. It does make a lot of sense for him to end up in LA. I think that's kind of my pick right now. We'll do another show maybe after the Cup final. Not maybe, we will. We'll do one more show after the Cup final to kind of tee up free agency, the draft, off season, all that stuff. But I do think right now that Marner to LA is my pick here. That's where I think he ends up. 10-1 right now on FanDuel. Kings. I don't know.
Wow.
You want him in Vancouver?
No. No. There's
Vancouver is 60-1 on FanDuel right now.
Yeah, there's too many. There's
Marner line with the jokes write themselves.
There's too many divas here right now, anyways.
Yeah. All right, So Money, I appreciate it. We will we'll let everyone know on Twitter when we'll be back for the next show. We will do another show, I promise. Before we close off here, make sure you are subscribed to the Hammer HQ on YouTube. You don't want to miss it. There's going to be some fun stuff coming for next season, starting as early as September. We're going to have a lot of good stuff in the works, including stuff that will incorporate me, So Money, all the Edger people you are used to seeing. So make sure you're subscribed to the Hammer HQ on YouTube. Make sure you like this stream before you head out. I appreciate everyone for tuning in today. Enjoy the game tonight, and good luck on your bets.